everybody, greetings from Sarah coming to you today. I thought I'd share a little secret with you, and I thought I would show you a tutorial on how to make the Valentine card that I made for my husband for this year. So let's get started, shall we? So I'm featuring once again the Love You to Pieces bundle. I absolutely adore this stamp set. I've always been a fan of puzzles, and to have a puzzle themed stamp set is just fantastic. I can't wait to get it into scrapbook pages and plenty of cards that I have in my head for this bundle. Like my husband's Valentine, for example. So today we're going to be using a lot of pieces. We have our base, which is real red cardstock. It's 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. So we're going to start by folding that in half and burnishing our score line with the bone folding tool. Okay, I have a piece of crumb cake cardstock that is 4.5 by 3 1/4, and I've gone ahead and used the woodland embossing folder in my big shot. I hope you guys can see that birch tree texture on the cardstock. I'm also going to be using the wood texture designer series paper, also known as DSP. I've cut 3 of the larger puzzle piece, this one here, out of the paper, out of 2 different pieces of paper. This one was the same and this one's different. And we're going to be using those for kind of background texture. We're going to stamp on this piece here. This piece is 2 inches by 3 inches. So we're going to stamp on it, and then we're going to tear an edge so we have some more texture. And then I have a small scrap of the glimmer paper, the red glimmer paper, which I used this die here to cut out. I just took a small piece big enough to fit underneath one puzzle piece and then cut it out with the big shot. And then I've taken a 3.5 by 3.5 piece of the wood texture paper, and I've cut out the puzzle, the big puzzle block, from that paper as well. And then we're going to use this in the background of our card, and then we're going to take out one of the pieces, and that will be snuck to the inside of the card right there. And then we're going to take out this piece right here and replace it with the glimmer paper. And then I also have a piece of smoky slate cardstock that is 4 3/4 by 3.5 inches. So the first thing we can do right away is snail down some of our cardstock. So when I was thinking about what kind of design I might want to use for my husband, he's not always the most organized person in the world, so I thought I might keep the card a little messy and textured with all these extra pieces. And instead of mounting them so that they're nicely squared off and matted, I thought I would mount them a little crooked so that it sort of represents his personality a bit. So when I apply a snail to a textured piece of paper, I'm applying the snail to the portion of the paper that I know will touch the base of the cardstock, so that I'm not wasting my snail in the middle. I have used a lot of snail, but it's textured, so it can come off a lot easier. And then I'm just going to toggle this piece in the opposite direction so that the corners touch the top and the bottom of the card. All right, it's looking good and messy. Okay, I had to peel this piece off because I actually don't want to apply that yet. I wanted to apply these pieces to the background before we apply the crumb cake piece. So I'm just going to apply some snail to these guys and stick these on. So we're going to put one crooked in the corner here, and then we'll have one in the corner next to it. I want to use as much texture as I can, so I want to get that crack in the boards there. And then for this one, we're going to put that down here in this corner. There we go. Now we can apply this piece here, and then that's just going to lay right over top of our puzzle pieces. All right, so there we go. We've got quite a bit of texture going on. Lots of busyness in the background. So the next thing we can do is stamp our greeting. You are my missing piece in real red ink. We want to keep it over to the left side of the piece of paper so that we can tear off the tail on the right side here. Okay, so then to tear it off, what I want to do is I want to kind of hover my finger over my image because I don't want the paper to tear past my hand. So I'm just going to pick up the corner and press this finger down and peel up with these fingers. And then once I get the rip started, I'm just going to keep pulling. And the paper is not going to go past my finger as long as I press my hand down hard enough. And I have this textured edge and my image is still whole. And that you can save and reuse it if you can get a small punch out of it, or you can just toss it in your scrap bin. And then for this, it's too angled, so I wanted to round the corners, and I'm going to use the punch at the back of my envelope punch board because I don't yet have the corner rounder punch that we sell in the annual catalog. So we do have a corner rounder punch. It's the detailed trio punch right here. You may have missed the fact that it rounds corners. Sorry, you can't even see that. So it rounds corners, it punches this little filigree type impression out of the paper, and then it will also punch an oval hole so you can use a wider ribbon on maybe a tag. And then over here on this page here, you get sort of like a glimpse of what it looks like. So here they've punched out the little tag hole and they've rounded the corners, and then they punched out that little filigree impression, all with this triangle shaped punch. So you can get that corner rounder punch, or you can use the punch at the back of your envelope punch board. Okay, so now the next thing is a little bit tricky. We need to, this edge here always falls off. If you're really careful when you pull this out of your die, it will stay together for the most part. I'm going to go ahead and use some liquid glue on the backs of these puzzle pieces because it's going to give me the best coverage with the textured background that I'm putting it on. And as you can see, I'm just going over the main length of the puzzle piece because I want to have the pieces look as though it's just a free puzzle. All right, so I want this one to be centered. Okay, and before I get too far, I'm actually going to peel out this piece right here, and that is where we're going to replace it with this one. Just a little adhesive, and then I'll build in the last row of our puzzle. So because I used the same die to cut out this piece here, it fits right into that little space. All right, so then this piece goes on the bottom corner. Okay, so the trick with rebuilding the puzzle here is you want to be sure that all your pieces are tucked up against each other properly so it looks like your puzzle actually goes together and not just random puzzle pieces that you kind of made look like a puzzle. Okay. One last piece. All right, and we've done it correctly because everything lines up. Just give it an extra press to make sure everything sticks down. Okay. Another reason I like to use the liquid glue on small pieces like this is if I get it placed incorrectly, it gives me a little bit of wiggle room for replacing my pieces. And then I'm going to use the dimensionals on the back side of my sentiment to give it some character off the front of the card. I want to use a lot of these to provide sturdy support for this designer series paper. It's a little thinner than the cardstock and it doesn't hold up as well when you use the dimensionals. So I wouldn't recommend putting this directly on the paper if you're going to mail this card. I would recommend putting another layer of cardstock behind it just so that you have some extra support and it doesn't get squished in the machine that sorts the mail. And there it goes right at the top. And then you can open your card and add your little missing piece to the inside. There you go. Easy, basic, masculine Valentine. And it doesn't matter if you mess it up because it's in messy, complicated, textury design. I hope this inspires you to get out your stamps and create something today. Have a great day.